Hello, this is Scot Conway. Still have the whole resume, and mothersraisingsons.com is what we're here for, and we're going through and we're solving all the problems the Mast You Live In, just the trailer part is revealing. I mean, I haven't seen the movie itself when I'm recording this. It has not come out, but if the trailer is any indication, I mean, this is going to be a huge problem. Now, let's take a look at some of this. By the way, as far as mental health goes, mental health is an issue all around. This idea that so many males have that you're not supposed to get help if you really honestly have a mental health issue. Back to the whole warrior ideal. I am a warrior. I am a master martial artist. I am trained so that in open hand combat, hand to hand, with all the weapons I'm trained in, I can fight. But you know what? I gotta know when I need help. I'm not going to be able to win every fight. 2-on-1, 3-on-1, a sniper across the street with a rifle, a gunman, all the way on the other side of the room. It doesn't matter how good of a martial artist I am. There's just certain things you gotta have help. And a warrior realizes this. A trained soldier, a trained marine, a trained seaman, a trained airman should know this stuff. The special forces know this stuff. SWAT knows this stuff. I mean, the highest level warriors that we have in our country know that sometimes you need help. Sometimes you need to be the help. Sometimes you got to have the help. Sometimes you got to have a team. Sometimes you need a whole army. That is the way that works. So this messed up idea that some of these boys get, that's not coming from authentic masculinity. That's not coming from that strong warrior knightly mentality, because the actual warriors know better than that. And we know when we need to go get help. So let's dive into this next clip.
I felt like just giving up on life. I actually had suicide thoughts in my head at 6th grade.
I felt alone for a long time, and I actually thought about killing myself.
Whether it's homicidal violence or suicidal violence, people resort to such desperate behavior only when they are feeling shamed and humiliated, or feel they would be if they didn't prove that they were real men.
Now, pause for a second right there. Now, think about this. People resorting to violence only when they feel shamed or humiliated. That's not what I see. I mean, in my counseling as a pastor, I've run a lot of people having suicidal thoughts. And it's pretty common, to be honest. What it boils down to is it hurts. I just want the pain to stop. And if I don't know how to make the pain stop, just logically, so like if I wasn't alive, I wouldn't be hurting. And that's where a lot of that comes from. And so often we deal with it just so backwards. We tell people kind of, the messed up stuff that was at the very beginning of the video. Just suck it up. Just be a man. Men and women both feel incredibly lonely. Women's have more social permission to reach out and are responded to when they do. But it's a pain issue. And having people have good ways of learning how to deal with that, almost any human being I know at some point has been hurting enough that they just wish the hurt would stop. They were scared enough, they just wish the scared would stop. They were angry enough, they just wish the anger would stop. And that logically, I mean, think about it, there's a simple logic to it. If I'm not alive, I'm not going to feel this way. And that's when I'm talking to people who are kind of having these thoughts, I'll talk to them about that. I'll ask them what they feel and why they feel it. And that makes perfect sense to me. Hey, if I was going through that stuff, I might feel exactly the same way. And I'll talk to them about, has anyone else, ever felt the way you feel, faced what you're facing, and maybe found a way out the other side? And once they start having a little bit of hope, well, then it turns around. Boys do commit suicide at a much higher rate than girls do. And this isn't just a matter of getting help or not getting help. That this is a matter of how intensely you get stuck in the how do I solve this, not having the tools to be able to solve this, not having the tools to be able to endure this, not being able to accept the fact that I have this much pain and there might still really honestly be a way out, or that I'm this lonely or this disconnected, and how do I deal with that? What does loneliness mean? Loneliness means that I'm craving a social connection. How can I do that? What kind of social connection can I get? What kind of social connection do I need? And again, it comes down to having the tools. When you have the right tools, you can solve these problems, and you can do so in a healthy way.
Told from day one, don't let nobody disrespect you, and this is the way you handle it as a man. respect is linked to violence.
Respect is linked to violence? No, respect is not linked to violence. It's the way it shows up because they don't have tools. If we train our sons in manly ways to handle it, you come from a position of strength. If someone's disrespecting you, you know when that turns violent is when it begins to mean something to you about you. And when it means something to you about you, then you step it up. Sometimes it's as simple a thing as, learn how to deal with it from a position of strength that doesn't have to be violence. Violence is counterfeit strength. The place for violence is to deal with other people that are being violent. The place for violence is self-defense. The place for violence is protecting people. The place for violence is being a guardian, being one who guards and protects yourself and others. The place for violence is when someone's coming after your kid. The place for violence is if you're a cop or you're in the military and you've got a job to do. That's its place. It's not to stand up and not let someone disrespect you. The way I deal with people who are disrespectful to me, sometimes I ignore them. But a lot of times when I do need to engage, I'll ask them questions like, so exactly what do you mean by that? And they'll go on and say, and so now how do you arrive at that conclusion? You're talking like you have a lot of inside information on my life, but I'm not sure I quite know how you're getting all this information. Are you following me? Are you stalking me? Is that what's going on here? And just learning how to do this with words so you don't have to haul off and hit someone. That violence is the resort of someone who's run out of good arguments. And this whole ideal of well, that's what respect is. You got to make them be afraid of. That's not respect. But again, they don't have a model. I mean, respect is treat others right. If they're disrespecting, it just means they're treating someone wrong. And if someone's being disrespectful and they have no cause to be disrespectful, it means they have a problem. And they're trying to knock me down because they feel beneath me, and that's why they're after me. And if I get down in the ditches and I just battle it out with them at exactly the same level they're doing, well, then I just step down. Why would I want to do that? And when our sons grow up with this kind of model, then they go, oh, okay, so I don't get into it with them. I still may upset me and may annoy me, but I realize that's his problem. It's not my problem, that's his problem. And this whole thing, it gets huge, and it's dysfunctional. It has to show up that way. And learning how to be mature. If you say, you can't let them disrespect you, and say, okay, well, how are you going to handle this in a mature, civilized way? What is a mature way to handle this? And all of a sudden you realize, well, hauling off and hitting him isn't very mature. You're getting in his face and yelling and screaming, calling them names back. Well, that doesn't show that I'm better. That shows I'm at the same level he's at. And it's a model again of teaching. And as a martial arts master, I'm trained in conflict. As a longtime martial arts teacher, I teach people how to handle conflict. And part of our goal is we don't want anybody getting hurt. We're not in it to learn how to beat people up. We learn how to beat people up so we can restore peace that someone else has broken. But our goal is nobody getting hurt. If we can get through a situation and nobody gets hurt, then we win. If I'm on my way home and someone's trying to pick a fight with me and I just get in my car and I go home, I was going home. That means I win. Whatever he was trying to pick a fight over, he didn't get it. That means he loses. I win. If he comes after me, I can just talk to him. I still get to go home. I win. But if I get in a fight, I beat him up, and now I'm in the hospital or now I'm in jail. I didn't win. I might have beat the guy up, but I didn't win. And so that's one of the fundamentals of dealing with some of this violence stuff. Whether you're talking about homicidal violence or suicidal violence, there's a lot of the rules here. How do you win? How do you find your win? And again, it's back to having healthy models. It's back to having healthy principles, healthy insight, healthy understanding, so you can make these things happen and make them happen in a correct and a healthy way. This is Scot Conway from mothersraisingsons.com, and we're going through the masks that we wear, this whole Be a Man video that's going out, and we're only talking about the trailer. I don't even know what's going to be in the movie. I could probably spend a 1-week course deconstructing the movie. Oh my gosh. But in the process, though, I would teach you the right and the right. Scot Conway, mothersraisingsons.com.